Hello Dungeon Master. In this video, we create a Necromancer's Lair. This can be where your big final battle can take place. Players might have gone through the dungeon battling all sorts of beasts, traps and monsters. They have finally found where the big bad is, and it's time to deal out some justice. So first I'm going to tell you a bit about us making the map and ways you could use the items inside here, but also other tips and tricks from Aconite on types of lair actions you might choose to have in here too. Note, lair actions are different to legendary actions. Legendary actions are for creatures, lair actions are for the room itself. All you seasoned DMs out there will know not to put new low-level characters in a large boss fight like this. They would need to work their way up to this. As they grow as players, so does the evil villains they go up against. You would want players being a high level, or if you did put low-level players here, they would need to have some serious help and support from other NPCs whilst down here. Now, what kind of Necromancer's Lair would it be without blood and bodies? There are two main channels of blood that lead all the way up the room. The four antechambers off to the side are pools in which we place the skeletal bodies of previous victims and adventurers who thought they could defeat the big bad. Whilst we put a number of items inside the map, we have kept the main chamber quite open. This is so that the players and monsters have enough room to move around and fight in. You wouldn't want any pesky cover getting in the way of spells or charging players. Plus, they have those 4 rooms they could always go in and take cover if need be. I'm sure we couldn't come up with any nasty ideas, like skeletons grabbing their foot and trying to drag them underneath the water. Nope, can't think of anything like that. Talking of something nasty, why wouldn't a necromancer have guards to help them deal with any unwanted guests? These 2 giant skeletons are a large presence and are perfect to lead the charge along with any smaller skeletons that join the fight. Add in other items that could help in defense, like statues in the chambers. These could be the spawning points of creatures for their lair actions. So let's talk more about these lair actions. Some of you DMs will already be using them in your games, but for those who haven't used these actions before or are still getting used to them, let's go through this. Lair actions are effects that happen when a high-level creature is in its own territory, similar to a dragon in their cave. These actions are separate from the creature's own turn. These give more things for the players to engage with instead of a large group of players going up against one person. It will make the fight more interesting and actually last longer. For us, the Necromancer is in their lair. They have created this space and it's their home. A recommendation is that any lair action should feel connected to the creature, or at least what's inside it. Being in an underground dungeon, we wouldn't want a hailstorm coming down from the roof. It just doesn't make sense. But a necromancer setting up dead bodies appearing as a defense are very likely in this scenario. Most books or sources say lair actions have an initiative of 20 or 0. You may want some players to have the option of going before it. If so, have it at initiative 20. But if you choose 0, this happens at the end of a turn before the next round begins. This might make players change their mind on what they were about to do. Aconite's tip is that the Necromancer's first turn when the players arrive should be something defensive. Something like casting Blink or greater invisibility. This prevents the players just attacking and killing them immediately. But it also gives the lair a turn. From there, the lair could summon creatures or give the players something else to have to fight or deal with first. This will keep the Necromancer safe for a little while at least. Aconite has a lads call in our game. We now know when he says this, There is going to be a number of turns where creatures or monsters will be summoned for us to fight. It is now a thing we laugh at and then cry at when we realise we need to prepare for the incoming waves. Lads, lads, lads! When the players walk onto this map, the Necromancer will know it's going to be a serious fight. The players will have already been skilled enough to get past the previous dungeon rooms and all the defences that were put in place. They wouldn't underestimate the players or think them idiots. They would need to be careful and take them seriously. Let me grandstand and tell you my entire plan, 'cause you will never be able to kill me. Blech. As a DM, using layer actions, it might be worth wasting the first layer action to show the players part of the mechanics. It will immediately tell them this isn't going to be a simple, straightforward fight. Face tanking may not work, no matter how hard the players try. Our player party will try really hard to face tank everything they can. One thing to notice in this map is there isn't any food. But how would the Necromancers survive down here without it? Is it that they're on their way to not requiring food anymore? This is something to consider when making your big bad. What are they trying to achieve in the end? We do have another video on creating a good villain. It will go through things to think about when creating them, instead of, they just woke up and decided to choose violence. I'll pop a link up in the top right for you. So what layer actions could you have inside our map? You could summon basic undead from the pits. Each pit would generate one undead. You don't want too many coming out, as the players might get overwhelmed with everything on the map, including the Necromancer themselves. You want pressure for your players, not a TPK. Skeletons and zombies make for good choices. They will need to get close to the players, but the players will definitely need to deal with them. You may activate the giant skeletons. You might want to lower the magical barrier that are keeping the mummies in place. This lets them join the party. You may have the eyeballs doing similar things to a beholder, like their eye rays. You might want to roll a d10 to see which one it does. Or you may want to pick the one you think is most appropriate to your Necromancer and how they would have set this up. Just be careful when choosing this, as some of these can be very dangerous. Another action could be trigger a trap. This could be the large canopic jars that we place in each of the 4 rooms. They could breathe fire or a curse. It might be setting off a cantrip spell effect. You might have smaller effects on the little ones around the room. So hopefully this video has given you some inspiration. If it has, please do hit that like button so we know you like this content. And if you can do me a favour and leave a comment, it will really help the algorithm. We're trying to grow this channel, so appreciate all the support that you give us. If you're feeling fruity, you can also support us further on Patreon, where you gain access to all of our maps and find more about our life behind the green screen. So until next time, may the dice be ever in your favour.